As I'll be on the road, if you call, leave a message, I'll call you back.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for coming and watching. We have a lot of public hearings. So the Board of Aldermen will consider the ward redistricting as a result of the 2020 census data. So I'm going to turn that over to the City Administrator. She has a comment or two.
Yes, so we've been tasked by the federal government to evaluate the census data to determine if the voting wards are substantially equal in population. And if they're not, the Constitution requires that district boundaries be redrawn so that that disparity is completely eliminated. And in municipalities, the authority to redraw those ward lines lies with the Board of Aldermen and to be passed by an ordinance. So the census data showed that the population, I think with no surprise to anyone, is heavier in Ward 2. And the total deviation between the wards cannot be more than 10%, and ours is 21.7%, which necessitates redrawing the ward line. So Corey has spent some time working up some options and has the math that he's going to walk you through in a moment to show you the proposals. But I want to preface the conversation with some established rules and guidelines from the federal government. And so there's two things that we absolutely have to do. And one of those is we have to come up with an equality of population, and that it has to be contiguous. Some additional standards of criteria that they want considered. They would like it to be as compact as possible. They want us to try to retain existing neighborhood and historical boundaries, and to take into consideration the areas of residency of you all, the incumbents. Some other practical tips and legal advice that was given, again, is to be as transparent as possible, which is one why we had a public workshop last week and why we are having this public hearing here tonight. And to follow the criteria, which I just mentioned, to show our math, which Corey has available to anyone who's interested. It's also on the board, and he's going to walk you through that momentarily. And to not allow politics into the process, and obviously not to do any gerrymandering. They also put out a reminder just that elected officials represent people, the populace, not just registered voters. So that was their guidelines to us. And with that, I will turn it over to Corey to show you the details of the proposals.
All right. I'll try and be relatively brief. We've gone through a couple of these already. Essentially, I want to point out the current ward lines run along Mozart Street down to Highway 19 South. There's a little jog here down by the park. Those are our current ward lines. But as of the current 2020 census, our population is now 2185. And that's down 246 people. Which created, as Tricia pointed out, a 21.7% variance from the ideal population, which is your total population divided by 2. So our ideal population for each ward should be 1,092 people. It was a lot different than that. So we had to redistrict. So the proposals I came up with had to move some people from Ward 1 to Ward 2, Ward 2 being the more heavily populated area. The first proposal we came up with here takes, and these census blocks go along street lines, mind you. So this goes along the 200 block of West 2nd Street down to the 200 block of West 6th Street. And that encompasses 117 people, which puts us very close to our ideal populations for those wards. Now, the other proposal goes pretty well from the bridge all the way to the western boundary of city limits, but it only shoots down to 4th Street before coming back and taking one more block of 200 block of West 5th, and then down to Mozart and continuing the original course. And interestingly enough, the second proposal here worked out the exact same math. Basically, both of those parcels of land had 117 people in them, and that put Ward 1 would be at 1,091 people, and Ward 2 would be at 1,094 people. It doesn't get closer than that because the state statutes do require that we be as close as is practicable within 1% of our ideal population. There was a third proposal I'll mention just for the sake of mentioning the fact that these are both on the north side of town. On the south side of town, I tried to do one on the south just to show that we could try it in different areas. The south had no good ways of doing it. The closest I got was 121 people, and it encompassed everything from down in Victoria Place all the way up into the park. It was just a massive addition to Ward 1, and it involved incumbencies and all that. It was just not a very feasible or realistic thing, but I did try other options than just the north side of town. So with that, we did have a workshop to discuss these already, public workshop, and so far this board has decided that they're leaning towards proposal number 2. And this gives them the idea that in another 8 years now, I guess, since it'll be 2030, but during the next census, if we have to move yet more people for some reason, this gives the possibility to move downward and keep those movements compact and contiguous. So, any questions?
Any public comments? Very good. There's an ordinance later on this agenda for the board they came to a consensus at the workshop that they like proposal number 2. They will vote on that later tonight if that is still your wishes. So that comes up towards the end of our agenda. Okay.
So we will move on to the public hearing.
Okay, yeah. So we have a request for voluntary annexation and an A1 agricultural zoning designation for property owned by Rocky Top Acres LLC, approximately 5.95 acres, and a brief description there on the agenda. This is a voluntary annexation proposal or procedure as opposed to an involuntary annexation, which is basically the city deciding we are annexing you and going through a lot more hoops and statutory requirements, including votes of the people in counting votes in the proposed annexed area. This is a simpler process. Just to sort of paraphrase the statute, the city, the Board of Aldermen, has the ability to annex an unincorporated area that is contiguous and compact to the existing corporate limits of the city, in other words, next to the city. This does not prohibit annexations merely because the annexation will create an island of unincorporated area within the city, town, or village. So long as the owners of the unincorporated island are also given the opportunity to voluntarily annex into the city. That's the case here. We have 2 or 3 property owners who were sort of enveloped by this voluntary annexation and create somewhat of an island of unincorporated territory. They were sent notice of what's going on and an invitation to contact the city to let us know that they would also like to be annexed, and we did not hear, we didn't hear from any of them, did we, Corey?
Call Myers declined.
Okay, one declined and others just didn't respond. So we can go ahead and proceed. So we have a petition requesting annexation signed by the owner and describing the property. And the law requires that this board have a public hearing concerning the matter, not less than 14 or more than 60 days after the petition is received. But in this case, we do have it in writing from our applicant that he consented to there being more than 60 days to consider the petition because we had some logistics to figure out. And at the public hearing, or this hearing, any interested person can present evidence regarding the annexation. If after the hearing the governing body determines the annexation is reasonable and necessary for the development of the city, it may go ahead and annex the territory by ordinance. After this hearing, if there is a written objection to the proposed annexation filed with the city not later than 14 days after tonight's hearing, that is signed by at least 5% of the qualified voters of the city, then we have to go through some other steps. So that's basically it. We have some exhibits here that I will just describe for the record. Exhibit 1 is the application for voluntary annexation by Rocky Top Acres LLC. Exhibit 2 is the signed acknowledgement waiving the 60-day requirement that I mentioned earlier. Exhibit 3 is a survey of the property prepared by Paul Dopich. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of publication and notice of public hearing that was put in the paper. Exhibit 5 is a copy of the letter that I sent to the Schroff Trust, Larry Kallmeyer Home Trust LLC, Larry J. Kallmeyer Indenture of Trust, and Deerberg Educational Foundation, Inc., care of Pam Schrader, regarding this island of unincorporated territory and whether they would like to join in. Exhibit 6 is the annexation agreement, or an annexation agreement, I should say, that has been negotiated with the applicant and, as far as I know, agreed upon by the city of the terms. Basically incorporating another agreement that sets forth how and when utilities will be extended to this property and who will pay for them. The statute does say that if the city annexes property, it has to have a plan for extending its utilities out to that property. So here's our plan. And then Exhibit 7 are minutes from the Planning and Zoning Commission recommending or approving the A1 agricultural district designation for the property if it comes in. And then Exhibit 8 is the entire code of ordinances of the city of Hermann. Mayor, do you agree to accept those exhibits into the record?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if there's any discussion, or if anybody has any comment, pro or con, about this annexation, that would be the time.
Anyone? All right.
And then, so we have on the agenda this evening an ordinance to annex this property. Maybe we'll do a first reading, but per that 14-day window that citizens have to object, we'll hold off second reading until the next meeting. So that's all I have for this one.
Okay. Next is the request submitted by McClears.
Yes. Okay, so on the record for the Brad McCleary conditional use permit hearing, hearing called to order at 7:16 p.m. on November 28, 2022, to consider a conditional use permit application submitted by Brad McCleary of the Bank Bar at 115 Schiller Street for outdoor liquor consumption on their private patio in the C1 commercial district for more than 12 operating days per year. The city's Planning and Zoning Commission passed a motion to recommend that the board approve the conditional use permit with, I think, stipulation as to the number of people that could be allowed out there. After this hearing, the board shall provide its decision, and if it finds there are special requirements that should be complied with for the permit, explaining what those conditions are. According to our code, the board can impose conditions to ensure that the use will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or welfare of the citizens, that it will not injure the use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity, that there will be adequate utilities and access roads and other facilities, that the use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties, it will not cause traffic congestion, requirements for public services such as police and fire protection will not be in excess of the individual demands of adjacent land uses, and the use will not result in a substantial increase in potential or real fire hazards. The board may grant a conditional use permit for such a period of time as it finds to be in the public interest. This hearing's on the record and a transcript is being prepared. The applicants may present their case. If there are any documents they want the board to rely on, those may be submitted as exhibits. If they have witnesses, they will be invited to speak. If they have an attorney, the attorney will be invited to speak on their behalf. The board may ask for testimony from others present in the room to see if anyone has anything to say about the factors described above, either positive or negative. And at the conclusion of the hearing, the board may deliberate and vote, and whether it's approved or denied is carried by a vote of a majority of the board members present this evening. We have some exhibits for this hearing. Exhibit 1 is the conditional use permit application. Exhibit 2, the conditional use checklist for Planning and Zoning Commission, just sets forth the elements or the standards they're supposed to consider in reviewing these applications, and every box is checked, indicating to me that it passes muster with all those requirements. Exhibit 3 is a list of the people sent actual notice, those people within 185 feet of 115 Schiller. Exhibit 4 is a drawing, a proposed layout for the number of tables and number of people to be on this outdoor patio area. Exhibit 5 is a checklist, again, for conditional use permit applications used by staff. Exhibit 6 is the affidavit of publication from the newspaper with copy of public hearing attached. And Exhibit 7 is the entire code of ordinances of the city of Hermann. Mayor Cox, do you agree to accept these exhibits into the record?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if our applicant's here, then if you want to just come on up and subject yourself to questions or describe a little what's going on.
Sure. We purchased the building last September, and then we finally got the right team in place and opened this September right before Oktoberfest. And so it was always our plan to expand the patio. Our goal with the whole thing is to really be able to serve the community more than just tourism, but we added coffee. My wife and I come frequently, so we kind of knew some of the things we were looking forward to. So more breakfast options, more within walking distance eating options. So we just love the idea of having a patio to have that.
Anybody have any questions? Is there any?
I just noticing the building inspector did say 30 maximum occupancy for the patio. Is that going to work within your plans? Obviously, kind of has to. But I noticed your wish list for table seating. And
Yeah, so we
doesn't
built
quite
it.
jive.
We built it to suit his allowance, but we have probably very little expectation of being able to fit that many tables or chairs. It's really more for enjoyment, less for maximizing the capacity potential.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments?
There's no live music.
No live music, huh?
Anybody have any? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We vote on that now? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve Brad Cleary's request.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay, we've got a lot on the agenda here. Mayor's report. I just hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. There is one thing I wanted to mention. The Missouri Arts Council has been chosen as the recipients of the 2023 Missouri Arts Award. That's the state's highest honor in arts. Since 1983, Missouri Arts Award have recognized 242 individual organizations and communities throughout the state for their significant contributions to Missouri's artistic and cultural legacy. The 2023 honorees will be recognized in a ceremony at the Missouri State Capitol on February 9th, 2023. Hermann was chosen for the creative community, and it states the picturesque city of Hermann on the banks of the Missouri River is at the heart of the state's wine country and historic German cultural heritage. It boasts a lively community of working artists as well as your year-round offerings of artistic attractions such as open-air concerts, art walks, and festivals like Oktoberfest and the Hermann Wine and Jazz Festival. So anyway, congratulations to the Arts Council. We'll move on to City Administrator report.
Okay, just a couple things tonight. The park grant was completed and submitted last week, and the awards will not be announced until June of '23, so we'll be waiting a while on that one. The awards for the wastewater grant we applied for, they were announced last week, and we did not get awarded that grant. And that again was for the lift station at the Lions Field. So we will have to look for other funding options for that. As far as an airport update, the base layer, like I said last time, is prepared and ready to go. They only had a few things that they could work on. I have not heard today if they were brave enough to start asphalting, because they needed temperatures at 50 degrees or above for a few days in a row. So we do have a construction meeting tomorrow morning, and so I will have a better update then. I'm hoping that they really think they can get that asphalt laid down this week. Otherwise, we might be pushing it, and if it doesn't work out, there'll have to be a winter delay. But hopefully this week stays warm. The second reading of the election ordinance is on the agenda tonight. The first day for candidate filing this year is December 6th, and the last day is December 27th. And as you know, the only two seats up for election are one from each alderman ward. I have received a draft of we have talked about it in a while, of the U.S. Cellular Tower. Again, that's up by the cemetery, the St. George Cemetery. I'll be reviewing their newly proposed tower lease, and I'll also have Dave take a look at it, and we may have a refined version for your consideration in a few weeks on that. There will be a retirement luncheon in honor of Rick Dobson, our longtime employee of 34 years, to celebrate him tomorrow at noon. You all are welcome to attend. And in movie news, the movie that Tammy and the Tourism Commission have been talking about is actually in town. They will be filming for the next 2 weeks. They had done a casting call in the community for extras to begin the film, and there was a huge response. So that is going to be a whole lot of fun, and so if you see that kind of activity going around town, you'll know what it is and give them a warm welcome. So that's kind of a big deal, so thank you.
Okay. I have no public comments, so we'll move on to ordinances.
The first, which is on for second reading, is bill number 2022-52, an ordinance calling general election for the year 2023, setting the date and time thereof, specifying polling places, appointing judges of election, specifying officers to be elected, providing filing date for candidates, providing for publication of notice of election, and general provisions.
Any questions, discussion? Now, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve bill number 2022-52, second read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-54 for first reading, an ordinance to authorize a change in zoning classification for the south part of lots 18 and 20 and all of lot 22 of East 6th Street from R1 single-family residential to R2 two-family residential.
Any discussion, questions? If not, entertain a motion.
Move bill number 2022-54, first read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-55, an ordinance to annex property owned by the Peggy A. Hammer Trust under agreement dated November 1, 1999, and the Terry E. Hammer Trust under agreement dated November 1, 1999.
Any questions, discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Make motion to approve.
Motion made, second.
Second?
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-56, an ordinance to amend code section 420-100 and 420-110, main dwelling definition.
Any questions on this one, discussion? If not, I can entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-56.
Motion been made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, These next several ordinances that came up from P&Z have long been discussed, and I had a public hearing at P&Z and here at Board of Aldermen last meeting. So if you wouldn't mind reading those twice just to clean this up, it would be probably helpful to our following agendas.
You want to do
Twice on all of these P&Z, coming from the P&Z.
Okay.
Does that include the last one we just did, 56?
Yes. If you could do 56 again, that'd be awesome.
All right.
The floor is yours.
Bill number 2022-56, an ordinance to amend code section 420-100 and 420-110, main dwelling definition.
Motion?
Motion, bill number 2022-56, second read.
Motion been made, second.
Second?
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-57, an ordinance to amend code section 420-040, recreational vehicles for living and/or sleeping purposes.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve bill number 2022-57, first read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Bill number 2022-57 for second reading, an ordinance to amend code section 420-040, recreational vehicles for living and/or sleeping purposes.
Motion?
I-
Sorry. I'll move to approve bill number 2022-5 second.
Motion made.
Second read.
Second. Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-58 for first reading, an ordinance to amend code section 420-10 and 420-090, agricultural district uses for liquor manufacturing, micro distilleries, and sales.
And motion to approve?
Motion approved, bill number 2022-58.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Bill number 2022-58 for second reading, an ordinance to amend code section 420-010 and 420-090, agricultural district uses for liquor manufacturing, micro distilleries, and sales.
And a motion?
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-58 second read.
Motion made, second.
I'll second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-59, an ordinance to amend code section 42830C, changing of the 2-year period requirement.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-59.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Bill number 2022-59 for second reading, an ordinance to amend code section 42830C, changing of the 2-year period requirement.
Do I have a motion to approve second reading?
I move to approve bill 2022-59, second read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-60 for first reading, an ordinance to amend Hermann Municipal Code sections 420-140C and 420-150D regarding conditional uses.
I have a motion to approve.
Move 2022-60, first read.
Motion made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Bill number 2022-60 for second reading, an ordinance to amend Hermann Municipal Code sections 420-140C and 420-150D regarding conditional uses.
Any motion to approve second reading?
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-60 second read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Bill number 2022-61, an ordinance to amend code section 420-100D, delete item 4.
Have a motion to approve?
I move to approve bill number 2022-61, first read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Bill number 2022-61 for second reading, an ordinance to amend code section 420-100D, delete item 4.
Do I have a motion to approve second reading?
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-61 second read.
Motion made, second.
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-62, an ordinance to authorize a change in zoning classification for certain lots on East 3rd Street from R1 Single Family Residential to R2 Two Family Residential, and certain lots on East 3rd Street from R1 Single Family Residential to C1 Commercial.
Have a motion to approve?
I move to approve bill number 2022-62 first read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
I think in keeping with the other rezonings, we were just doing the one at a time.
Next is bill number 2022-63, an ordinance to annex property owned by Rocky Top Acres LLC.
Any questions, discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve bill number 2022-63.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
All right, we'll postpone second reading on that to see if we get written objections for more than 5% of the citizens to this annexation. Next is bill number 2022-64, an ordinance to amend Hermann Municipal Code section 105.010 wards as a result of 2020 census information.
I have a motion to approve the
Move to approve 2022-64, first read.
motion's made, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
This is the one, if you all are amenable to reading it twice, that would be good to meet our deadline before filing opens.
Okay.
Bill number 2022-64 for second reading. An ordinance to amend Hermann Municipal Code section 105.010 wards as a result of 2020 census information.
Do I have a motion to approve second reading?
I move to approve bill number 2022-64 second read.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
And bill number 2022-65, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk of the city of Hermann, Missouri to execute a survey for lot 69 at Market Street.
Any question? If not, I need a motion.
I move to approve bill number 2022-65 first read.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
And this is kind of just a formality. We had already approved by motion at the last meeting, the subdivision, so we can go and get this recorded if you all don't mind reading it again.
We can read that again.
Bill number 2022-65 for second reading, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk of the city of Hermann, Missouri to execute a survey for lot 69 at Market Street.
I have a motion to approve second reading.
Move 2022-65, second read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. All right. Any old business? Not any new business. Moving right along, we'll move into motions. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
I move to approve the November 14th, 2022 minutes.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Invoices for payment, do I have a motion?
I move we pay the bills.
We have a motion to pay the bills, so I have a second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We're gonna hire Adam Sullentrop as a full-time police officer.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Special events application, Hoghead Cigar and Fine Tobacco Smoke Fest 2023 at the Amphitheater on September 14th and 18th, 2023.
Move to approve the event.
I have a motion to approve, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We have no reports, so we need to go into closed session. You wanna-
I would like us to go into closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters relating to leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate, section 610.0212, the revised statutes of Missouri.
Right, right.
We need a second?
You what?
We need a second and then a roll call.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are now going into closed session. Thank you, everyone, for coming and watching on TV.
Yeah, it is.